to look at our resources and information. Do you have any questions for now that we can hopefully answer? Not for now, sure, no problem. So hi everyone, and thanks a lot for joining me and Wei today for the writing workshop for teaching a word, like RMIT Vietnam teaching a word. Um, so as you might know, we have a team to support you this year. It's going to be Karen, me, and Wei. Karen and I are based on Saigon South campus, and Wei is based on Hanoi campus. So yeah, please just reach out and ask if you need any support from us. But Karen is not going to be in the session. It's just me and Wei to be here with you. Um, and during the session, please feel free like to have any questions. You can put it in the chat, or you can just like raise your hand or have your mic on and share with us. And we will make sure that we answer the questions, even if it's not instant. We will definitely get back to you. Um, so now, maybe let me start sharing the screen. Sometimes I might look a little bit weird on the screen because I have a different screen and how to navigate them. So I hope you can see my slide for the teaching a word workshop. Okay,
Yes, we can.
excellent. Okay, so just to start, I just want to remind us all a little bit about the workshop that we have delivered so far. So we had the information session in March, and then we had the first writing session in April, in which we did share with you about like some basic components of a teaching a word application, and also share with you a little bit about how to write a statement of teaching philosophy, which is a very critical thing to include in your application. Then I think the IMIT Melbourne team have two other workshops in around June. And all the advice and the suggestion they make are very transferable to what we do here at RMIT Vietnam. And we have a workshop now. We try to put all things together. Some key advice and suggestion we are going to share with you before you can start your journey. And together we can look at the rubric and just more. Um, so basically there are two main parts here. Is some suggestion and advice and sharing from me and Wei. And then it is our pleasure to have Advaita and also Lum to be here with us. They are the previous winner of last year, and they are going to share with us a little bit about the initiative which did win the award and also some of the suggestions they share. So thanks a lot. Thank you, Advaita and Lam, for joining us, being very generous. Okay, thanks a lot. Okay. Um, yeah, check in with you a little bit, but I think I did that already. So let me just move on. So if I can give you any suggestion, any advice, drawing on my experiences of working with people in teaching a word for the past years, I would say definitely that is to read the guideline and the rubric that we use for reflection as soon as possible. Okay. Um, Let me share with you in the chat the link just in case. Um, I think there is a lot of very useful information in the guide and also the rubric, which can help you save some last moment panicking and stress. For instance, like in the previous year, we had some of our colleagues who did forget to include some very important things in the submission package. And then at the very last moment, we had to get back to them and say, okay, you might need to add this and that. And that can cause unnecessary stress and pressure. So I think it's important to look at the guideline and also the rubric from very early on. So you know, okay, so what are the core things that you might need to submit and look at. So that is the first advice I think that I really want to highlight. And the second thing is about evaluation, let's say, right? Um, so if you have had some time to look at our rubric, you can see that we have a 4 criteria for assessment. And for the first criteria, there is one thing which it says, if you want to get recommended, then you need to show evaluation. Like you want to try out something and you have done some evaluation of it to know whether it's successful and effective or not, right? And if you want to get highly recommended, it means it's a higher level, then it's not just evaluation, it is a systematic evaluation. And from the past experiences, we think that sometimes our colleagues forget about this part, and then we have to get back and say, okay, maybe you need to add some information about this. So there is a very useful framework that you can use for reflection when you write a teaching award application. And we just want to suggest it with you. It is this one. You share with us a little bit what you did, why you did it, how you did it, and you evaluated it. Okay, so this is the evaluation piece that I'm talking about, and what changes you made as a result of evaluating what you try out. So far, any questions or any comment? For instance, if some of you wonder what is a systematic evaluation, for instance, okay, it's all good. Um, I think for me, systematic evaluation can be demonstrated in different ways, but one of them can be like you look at different sources of data that can help you know whether what you are doing is effective or not, right? For instance, like you try out something, you look at student feedback, you look at the feedback and the conversation you have with your colleague, for instance, and also let's say like you can record it about what you do, how you do it in your journal, for instance, and later on you can also draw on that. So systematic evaluation, I think one of the way to demonstrate it is to have a different sources of information so that you can look at. Um, so that is the second piece of suggestion and advice that if I can give, very strong about sharing with you. And a little bit about this too. So again, if you have read the rubric, you can see that we have one of the criteria, which is about how you can highlight the innovation, creativity, and imagination of your practice. Right? Um, so here, for instance, if you want to get recommended, it's important to provide us with an explanation, right? In what way you think what you do is innovative or creative or imaginative, especially considering the context of your teaching. Okay? And I think this is one of the challenges for a lot of teaching award application in the past. So I just want to highlight this a little bit. And now, can I ask you a little bit to share with me? How do you think we can highlight the innovation or creativity or imaginative aspect of your practice? Sorry. Yes. So if I can ask you a little bit, maybe now I don't need to highlight things. I can do this too. Yes. So for instance, if you want to highlight how innovative or creative or imaginative your practice is, how do you think we can do it in our application? Just some quick thought. I'm just afraid if I keep talking and then you might just fall asleep. So yeah. So just allow me to ask you a little bit what you think about this.
I'll help you,
Mandy,
folk.
thank you.
Because it's really hard when everyone's so quiet, right? How to
Thanks a
highlight the
lot.
innovation? Well, I suppose it's to really what is it that you have been doing that is what you consider to be like special and different to your normal ways of teaching, and that you feel that the students really benefited from what you have done, and you felt that is something that you haven't done before, so therefore it is different, or it's been challenging, but yet it's been creative, and so on, so on. So I think it's about what is it that you've done that's differently, and how it has impacted on the students' learning experience.
Excellent. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the help. Yeah, so many has been talking to us a little bit. Okay, Raza. Yes, Lun, yes, please, you want to add something, right?
Yeah, I just want to add that yeah, well, it's not always I mean, innovation and creativity doesn't mean that you have to be always new or something completely different from the other. But yeah, I really appreciate your sharing about like we really need to mind the context, right? So what matters there in terms of the context and maybe existing issues there, and how we just like applying something there, right, to address these issues and appropriate for our context here, especially at RMIT Vietnam. So that could be really helpful as well. Yeah.
Excellent point. Yeah, about the context. Yes, chị Oanh ạ.
Yeah, I would like to raise one very specific perspective. I was thinking of the inclusion as I discussed with you, Phúc, and thank you very much for your initiative, valuable advice that leads my thinking, cognitive, challenging, thought-provoking at the same time. So I'm thinking of how I worked, how I have been working with the visually impaired students, and it has been quite successful so far. And one thing is that I have to put myself into, I'm sorry if I offend anyone, but I close my eyes and I imagine how I could feel it with, because the focus is on interpretation training, right? So I could feel how much I could imagine, visualize when I cannot see it, to convey my ideas and to share the practice and the expertise as vividly and as practical as possible. So, for example, I learned from the well-being people that whenever they started any section with a student, they say, I am an Asian woman in my late 50s, and I have dark hair, I'm in glasses, I'm wearing something. So to provide the basic, most, basic figures so that the students can see the vivid interaction with the people they are talking with. And number two, even more important for my subject, is that because we use a lot of equipment, and so I will have the introduction of the equipment. It is new in my field already, and we are unique in Vietnam to provide this kind of interpretation equipment. And for it's new for the other students, and for the visually impaired students, I had to imagine that I take them to the booth and I let them feel the equipment. So this is the first volume for this, and the second one and the third one, sit down, feel it, and control the panel system, without seeing. And they could do it. And they even wrote emails to me to thank that they would never forget the feeling of being touched and touched, touch the physical equipment. So I think this is, I don't know how I just try to think of the smallest thing possible to make it work.
Sure.
And it works. Yeah. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks for your sharing. So yes, thank you for raising a very interesting point. So I think there are different ways for us to show that we are innovative or creative or imaginative, and three words here are not the same also, right? So I think, for instance, you have certain constraint. For instance, in Chi Wang's situation, the constraint is resources. So maybe what you have to do is try to do what you can in a very imaginative way. What you can think of is okay. Just closing your eyes and imagining how students experience things. So without within your constraint, you imagine and be try to think about what you can do to be the best in that situation. So it's one of the way too for us to say that we are being very imaginative here, right? Yeah. So I just share with you a little bit of an example. Am I moving my mouse correctly? It just doesn't move. Okay, so this is an example, and I did take some of the part out to make it like more accessible to all of us in this session. So I'm just giving you, let's say, half a minute to read through this example. This I did take from a Australian Teaching Award winner. So of course, it's much more competitive. So as our colleague Luen here said, maybe it doesn't need something like groundbreaking, something completely new. It's just something many people already do, but you're going to do it in a different way because you consider the context and also you have certain constraints, but you are still managing to make it work, right? But this is one of the way for you to make it very clear and explicit to reader that okay, I'm doing something quite innovative here. And let me share with you a little bit about some of what I think can be also good for us to do too. That is try to clarify how your initiative addresses a gap or an unmet need. So you're doing something differently, not for the sake of being different, right? You're doing something differently in the sense that you identify a gap, you see that something hasn't been done while it might be needed to be done. So you just do it and fill the gap. So in that sense, what you are doing is not just like about being different. No, it's about being like trying to fill in a gap and say that yes, what you do is an enhancement or improvement on what is being currently doing. And try to say, okay, so what is original, what is very innovative about the way you do things. And it's important for us to make this message very explicit in our application. Just an example I think of is something like we hear a lot about authentic assessment. And whenever we think about authentic assessment, we see that people pay a lot of attention to like creating real life situation or task for students to do. But authentic assessment is much more than that. And if you can say like many people ignore an important part of it, which is can be about like um, giving students much of opportunities to be able to reflect on their learning. That is one of the also very important thing of authentic assessment when we implement it. And while people don't pay enough attention to it, I do. So authentic assessment, everyone does it, but maybe the way they do it overlook some of the important things, right? So now you are going to try to fill in that gap. Um, And the next advice, if I can give you, I think is about the evidence. So how to demonstrate the effectiveness of what you do. The suggestion from us is try to combine different sources of evidence, both the quantitative and also the qualitative. We have this resource on our hub. We will have the slide uploaded, and when you have the slide uploaded, you can see the link here, or you can also go out to hub and sorry, let me share with you where you can find it. So this is our hub, right? And you have this one, the applicant resources. We have a part for evidence. We have this one. Um, So this document can give you some idea about what type of evidence you can include, right? So it's a 4 pages document. Sorry, I'm going to scroll it down a little bit just to give you some idea. So you can always look at this and get some idea for, okay, what type of evidence can I include in this part? So there's a 4 pieces of advice that I really want to emphasize. The first one is just please read the guideline and the rubric as soon as you can. Number 2, try to address the evaluation piece in the rubric and also about the innovation, creativity, and imaginativeness of your application. And the last one, try to look at and incorporate different sources of evidence. Okay, thanks a lot. And now there is some more thing that our colleague Wei could also want to share with us. And I think it's easier for her to manage her slides. So I'm going to stop sharing and Grace going to share slide with us.
Hi everyone. Just give me 1 minute to find my
Sure.
slide for sharing.
No worries.
Make
And
sure
at
that I'm
the
sharing the right one.
and at the same
I
time, do you
think
have any questions so far? Please feel free to put the question in the chat if you want. Okay. Yes. Wait, I give it to you.
okay, great. Can you see my screen? Great, thank you.
I think it's coming.
Okay,
Yes.
not
Yes,
yet.
I see it now. Yes, I see it
Okay. So Fook has given some advice on the application. I'm going to talk about the coherence. As we noticed that in the past applications, sometimes we do see that some applications are not coherent. So by coherence, we mean that when we the relationship between ideas are easy to follow, and they create a unity of ideas. So we have provided this structure that could hopefully help you to think about the coherence of your writing. So one is to think about the intention. What do you aim to achieve in your teaching and why? And sometimes this aim comes from a problem. So you might be noticing a problem in the teaching and you're trying to solve that problem. And that's the intention you're having, what are you aim to achieve? And then that's coming the strategy. And how do you do this to solve that particular problem? Or how do you do this to fulfill your intention? So these are connected. And then providing evidence of impact. Fook has already mentioned the systematic evidence. So this evidence of impact are there to show, to evaluate if your strategy is working or not. So how do you evidence or convince someone that what you did achieve your aims and enhance student learning experience? So that's the framework that we try to provide. I think you could plan and thinking about your application and what you have been done in terms of your learning and teaching. What sort of intentions you have and what strategies and evidence of impact, just to make sure that your evidence of impact is there to help you achieve your strategy. So your evidence of impact is showing that your strategy is working, is effective strategy, or sometimes it might not be working, but what have you done to change it? How do you improve it? So I'm going to give you some examples. We'll be looking at at least 2 examples, and our winners, award winners from last year, will also share their examples in terms of their intention, strategy, and evidence of impact. So this is a slightly simpler evidence coherence here. So we have given some examples of your intention here. So this applicant aim to achieve a strategy achieved as inclusion. So make students' learning pathways more directly relevant to their diverse lives and to their future career paths in their communities. So as we can see, there's a lot of focus on inclusion and cater to their career path. Okay. And then we have strategy and evidence of impact here. I will give you about 1 minute, 1 to 2 minutes to read the strategy here and evidence of impact, and then you could share what you think about the coherence of this writing. Okay, and once you have finished, could you please just type number 1 into the chat if you have finished reading it. Thank you, Wan. Thank you, Manny. That's very fast. Thanks, Lam. Thank you, Mai. And Divya and Vayan. Noam Manjit. Okay, if you have finished, should we think about what do you think of the coherence in this application? If we look at the strategy, so is the strategy helping the application to fulfill the intention? What about the evidence of impact? Does the evidence of impact evaluate how the strategy is working or not? Okay, you can either share in the chat or you are welcome just to turn on the speaker and speak. Any volunteers? Or shall I volunteer someone? Or do you need a bit of time to think? Thank you, Lam.
I think the coherence of this example is pretty good because everything is seem aligned with each other. So from the intention, it focus on encourage the diverse student groups, and then the lecturer have the strategy to include them more, and then the evidence showing that she got some success with the higher inclusion and higher engagement of different groups. So I think the coherence in general is making a lot of sense.
Yeah. Thank you, Lam.
Yeah, can I add in something as well? I like the way how this person raises the issue. It's quite practical and doable at the same time. So we can see that he or she identifies the general goal, and then to make what she wants to do and the strategy. The first one, I think, is two focuses here. And I am impressed by the last one. Most students comment on the value of the diversity rather than seeing it as a challenge. So they see it's a value. So I think it's the key success of this inclusion. So it's quite impressive, I think. Simple and impressive.
Thank you, Wan. Yeah, that's a really good point. I can see that Manjit has raised a hand. Manjit.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether if you look at the intentions there, ensure participation by diverse group, that is looking at class participation, but the evidence of impact is on enrollment. Whether class participation, when you have more diverse students participating and enrollment, whether that is a good link or not, I'm not very sure, right? Or maybe the last evidence should be on the effectiveness of the participation of this diverse group of students. I don't know. It's just a comment.
Yeah. Any ideas for that? I think that's a really good observation. So there's a bit. I really like the last bit about like what one mentioned about the value of diversity rather than identify as a difficult source. So that's directly dealing with the diverse issue that the applicant is trying to solve. And I think like what Manjit talked about, if it's more about not only about the enrollment, but also about how effective they think the whole participation is, that will be even better. So there always need to be some sort of connection between what you have done and how effective it is in the evidence. I'm going to move on to the next example, because the next example will probably is a real example that we find from applicants. It has got approval from them to be shared in our workshop today. So it's probably a bit more relevant to your approach. So this one is about authentic learning approaches to motivate and inspire students to learn. And we have some strategies here. So remember, this is about authenticity. And then the strategy mentioned about the real world relevance of the topic. And meaningful connections with the real world. So that's very much, again, connected with authenticity, and the digital game-based learning to help students engage. So that's, again, about motivation, right? Help students to motivate and inspire them to learn. And then there's various authentic problem-solving issues, and create a game, a simulation game. So again, those are very much connected with the intention here, right? So if you look at the strategy here, the strategies are helping to fulfill the intention from the applicant. And then we have this evidence of impact. There's some sort of more general evidence of impact here is about the high attendance rate. And then what is really interesting here is about CES. So the CES actually explain the real life scenarios. So the students touched upon the real life scenarios. So what the activities that's related to the intention, authentic activities, and interaction with students and application of many tools. So students appear to be engaged and enjoying the high level interaction with the lecturer and with each other. So that's about motivation, right? And inspiration. Quite often we see there are more general evidence about the attendance rate, about the participation rate, about the enrollment, but sometimes we can't really tell if the enrollment is coming from your intention, because there are just various factors to influence the enrollment. So it would be good if you could dig deeper into the CEF, if you have some specific comments from students on your course, either from the CES or from your survey with students, or just some sort of class feedback from students, that would work. And if they can be connected with your intention, with what you have done exactly in classes, that's the coherence we're talking about here. Yeah. Okay, we're just going to have a few minutes, just going to talk about our next one. So this is a practice for you. We have just seen a few examples, and let's look at some activities for this. Like, we have given you the intention, enhance student engagement and participation in an online class. And we have the strategy about uploading recorded lectures to the online platform. And the evidence of impact is tracking the number of video views. What do you think of the coherence here? We can see that not many strategies being mentioned here or evidence of impact. So how could we improve it? You can just type in the chat or turn your speaker and turn your Mac and speak. Many?
Yeah, I suppose there's some kind of coherence, but it's not as detailed as the ones before. So I'm wondering what kind of activities been done just by uploading stuff onto online platform. It's not really that kind of innovative or amazing. So it's more about what is it that the actual activity itself. You know, what did this person do to engage the students more in the online class? That's more interesting to me. And the evidence of just because X number of students have access to video doesn't mean it's impactful. right?
Yeah. Yeah. Very much so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same argument that, oh, 2 million people watch the latest Squid Game series, but it's rubbish, doesn't mean it's good. Yeah. So how do you quantify the quality of the action from this lecturer,
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes they might just view, right? They might just view, click on video, and then they go off. And they are not really spend much time on that. So some more evidence. I think I'm not saying that this is not an evidence you can provide, but try like what Book was saying, that is systematic evidence. And like Manny also said, like multiple evidence to support that. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Manny. And one.
Yes, I would like to echo what Manny said as well. And we could see that it's the only one aspect on online platform, right? So my experience is that whenever we want to have a successful online platform, we have to ensure the interaction as much as we have to ensure the interaction in the face-to-face classroom as well. So this one is very much technical, technical issues, like you have recorded lectures to ensure very beautifully recorded or things like that. What about the real interaction to go with this? And also the numbers of video views. What about the views? Not the exchange after that. So I always counted like how many people really talk and exchange the idea. That's what you did now, what you are doing right now with the chat or things. And the frequency of people having ideas or something will verify or justify the success of the section. So there are many more than the recorded video, I believe. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, there are multiple ways to actually providing evidence here. Yeah. Thank you, Wan. And Justin.
Yeah, I was going to say, so what if you upload a video, and of course the number of views I don't think are enough, but suppose you put an accompanying activity with it, and the engagement over time, like suppose because you have to track this for 2 years, suppose there's a clear increase in the amount of engagement, would that be something that would be considered coherent and relevant data for a case?
Absolutely, I do agree.
Yeah, I think that would be a good
yes?
way. I think that would be a good way to track the inaction among students. Yeah. Because you're also just not looking at a shorter time span, right? You're thinking about the 2 years time span, and also sometimes if you're looking, see if you have a forum study, a forum discussion in it, and then you have students interacting on that, that would be a data you can show that students are actually responding to each other's questions. That's interaction.
Okay.
But again, you got to find out how innovative it is, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking about ways to make a video coherent. So like, I suppose in a narrative, it would be acceptable to frame it in such a way as like, okay, so watch this video for in preparation for assignment 2, assignment 3, whatever. And then after they watch the video, you could ask them to provide some comments about how it could be useful for them. And that kind of engagement, I suppose, would be nice to create a coherent thread to present your work.
Yeah. I think that's one way to provide it. Yes, for sure. Thanks, Justin. Amy, I saw your hand raised. Do you still have question or comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to add. Am I audible?
Yeah. Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm currently teaching the digital class for like both campuses. So what I do, I embed Mentimeter in Kahoot, and Mentimeter is superb in terms of collecting the data because you are using your slides and you're also using some feedback in between your lecture, and it also helps you to collect the statistical data by Mentimeter. So in the end of the class, you can also see that how many students stay till the end of the class. Like when they join, when it started, it was like 80, and when you finish, it's like 40, something like that, right? So it's also going to support you. And in terms of engagement, yes, we use quiz, we use all the other things, but yes, only recording is not enough. But in terms of evidence, I think the statistics which Mentimeter provides, it's really helpful. So it mention like how many students answer your questions and they stay all the time with you online. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, sometimes we do struggle with finding statistics. I think not only from looking analytics, but I think Amy does provide a good way to look at the Menti. That give you some statistics to see if students are participating throughout the whole class. Okay, unfortunately, we're going to move on, but this conversation can still go because I also posted 2 questions to our award winners. That is Dr. Aveda and Dr. Lam. So they are going to share their tips to answer the 4 questions we have posed to them. There are 3 questions here. The first one is, how did you achieve coherence in your writing? What are your intentions, strategy, evidence of impact? I think they will be looking at that in the whole application point of view. So that might be a little bit more general in compared to what we discussed in this writing, because they're looking at a whole application. I only provide you some very specific examples. And the second one is about how you started, how did you select a category and criteria to address? And the third one is about any extra tips you would like to share with the participants. And I know that some questions you have might not be in the 3 questions, so there's a time for you to ask some Q&A here. Okay, I'll just hand over to Dr. Aveda first to address the first question. You are muted, Dr. Aveda.
Okay, thank you so much. So, so my intention behind my application was to like tell what did I exactly do in the first 2 years of RMIT, and to be more specific, what I exactly did was in the first when I started in RMIT, I was also an early career teacher. At the same time, I was new to RMIT, so I was doing 2 things simultaneously: establishing the trust. The student trust with the courses that I teach, and establishing student trust on me. So those were the 2 things that I was trying to do as a early practitioner, and also someone who's new to RMIT. So how did I do that? Exactly was through personal consultations and providing students with relatable examples for complex theories. So to give a context, when I say the courses that I teach, they were contextual courses. So they were theoretical, and more specifically, I would say they were philosophical. So they let students think in a philosophical direction. So they think about the culture and society around them in a philosophical fashion, which students they don't do that in their day-to-day life. So therefore, in the beginning, I saw some like disinterest in students. And how did I really establish that interest towards these courses? Were through not methods that were extremely innovative, but things that were more student-centered, where I meet them often. Like in many classes, I have in-person consultations, and also I make these theories accessible because these theories are classic theories. Some of them are old, and the examples that the scholars give might not be the things that are happening in the society that they live in. So things that are more Gen Z friendly. And also these are the courses that appear in the 3rd and the 4th semester, or even 2nd semester. So they find it hard to connect it with industry. And often, because these courses are highly theoretical, students think that it's more like if they learn these courses, they'll end up in academic job roles, which is not really true. So in order to break that assumption, bringing in some guest speakers from, like, for example, from NGOs, and tell them how these skills are relevant. So these are the ways in which I established a connection with the course and also with myself. And how did I really test the impact? Yes, with the increase in student attendance, mainly I was more focused on retaining the students even after week 8. And then also increase in engagement rate. Like, for example, how exactly they engage, like the attentiveness in class and the kind of questions they ask. So I was looking for improvements in the questions they ask, the quality of the questions. And of course, the CES feedback was very helpful. And I was also able to like see some of the feedback that students give me when they personally write to me. What are the things that they mention when it worked for them? So I look for certain specific things within these listed metrics. So yeah, this is how I eventually like developed coherence. Yes, thanks for that. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Aveda. We'll move on to Dr. Lam for this question.
Yeah, thank you very much, Wei. So I would just quickly tell my story. So my application was original from an issue, a problem from teaching logistics and supply chain management. So my major, we found this is a major that requires students with a lot of when they graduate, they will work with very practical in warehouse and in transportation. So there was an issue of learning and teaching in that area that we rely on, traditional classroom canvas activities, and there was a lack of industrial engagement. So based on the literature review, I target to develop my strategy based on the two approach. The first one is a work-based learning. So to bring how can we bring more industrial engagement to the students when they are studying our courses? And the second one is how can we improve their learning experience via competition-based learning? So based on that, I developed the three strategies, and that was the three parts in my application that I wrote. The first one is I led a project of a learning and teaching fund that was 15,000 US dollar to develop and implement a customized simulation. So we actually work with a smart lab, an industrial partners. We customize the software that they sell for the industry and make it become the education version. So students can try it and try it in the simulated base so they can just do all of the operation and management in the risk-free environment. And my second initiative is to promote the student in competition. So I think many of us are doing that. So we have the student, we mentoring them. We work as a judge. And then the last one is to integrate the field trip and guest speakers. So all the industry engagement that we can have into the lecture and assignment. So we make it a part of the assignment. So based on these three strategies, and then I follow up with them after 2 years, 2.5 years. We have some students who actually experience that simulation and they graduate. And then I start think of gathering the evidence. So in my case, the evidence include the quantitative and qualitative one. The quantitative is the CES and the survey that I launched when I developed that software. And for the qualitative, I think it's very important. It's from the testimonial from students, so you can gather it from the CS. You can ask the students, but more important, you should follow up with them when they graduate. So in my case, I asked the student who doing the internship, and they use a very similar software. And also ask the student who actually graduate and apply for the jobs. I also asked the feedback from the colleagues, like the CC of the course and other friends. And more important is that I got the feedback from the industry partners. And other things, other evidence could be like try to join the workshop and showcasings and get the feedback from the colleagues. And I think the most important evidence is that the spin over impacts that we can have. So how can you explain like how your initiative have a spin-over effects to other students at RMIT, to other university? So in my case, RMIT was the first university that created that kind of simulation for learning logistics. And after that, there are other universities who work, they SmartLock start working with other university with that ideas, and it have a clear spin-over effects. And also for the competition, we got a team that won the national prize that I mentor, and then after that they found the logistic club for students, and then it encouraged other students to learn more about logistics. So the spin-over effects will be the very important evidence that you need to put into your application. Yeah, Wei, back to you.
Yeah, I just want to say really good to hear that sort of that adoption. I think that's really valuable that is being adopted and by other universities, other students. Okay, we're going to move on to the second question. Remember, I'm sure that you probably have a lot of questions in your mind, but we're going to leave the question to the end if that's okay from the audience. Okay, the second question is about how you started, how did you select the category or criteria to address? Dr. Veda?
Thank you, Wei. So, as I mentioned already, so I was looking at what was the guiding principle, what was the goal behind the decisions that I was making. So I was constantly thinking about it when I was looking for a very promising topic for my application. I also came to know a lot of past recipients had a specific, they worked on a project which was which they aim to use it for their application later. But in my case, that was not really the case. So I was looking for something that guided me while I was making these decisions, and I realized that yes, all the decisions that I made were related to building a connection with the course and myself. Mainly the courses that were highly contextual in nature. I do teach courses related to story building for advertisements, which are much more practice oriented, like process oriented. But these courses were slightly more complex. So therefore, I was looking for a criteria within the existing criteria within the application. And I felt the criteria on approaches to teaching and or the support of learning that influence, motivate, and inspire the students to learn was the most appropriate criteria for all that I did. And it really aligned with my goals and practices. So that's how I did. It was more like a reverse thinking that I conducted. And this really felt more relevant to what I was going to say in my application. So yes, that's it. Yeah.
Thank you for the reverse, the reverse method. Okay, now let's move on to Dr. Lam.
Thank you, Wei. So in my case, I started thinking of applying for the teaching award a few years ago when I completed the learning and teaching project. So I thought that okay, that was I have done quite a lot of efforts and got some result. So I want to just do something to remember. But then I realized that we need to wait for at least 2 years until the project take a full effects. And then I start learning about this teaching award 2 years ago, and then it took me 1 year more to start writing the application. My chosen criteria was about the innovation and leadership to enhance student learning. There are other criteria that also fit my application, like about changing curriculum and assessment. But I think the selling point of my application is about digitalization of teaching and learning in my major, and it's very fit with the innovation terms in the criteria. And as I said, I started with the literature foundation with the robust literature on teaching and learning methodologies. Yeah. Back to you, Wei.
Thank you, Lam. Where to go? Move on to the third question about any tips, extra tips they have, Dr. Aveda.
Okay, thank you, A. So, I mean, the first tip, I think all of us would say that to our students, like, when we tell them to prepare for assignments, start early. So I feel, but I would, in addition to that, I would say that by now you would have realized that we need to work with a lot of criteria. One is the word limit, and we need to talk about not just the impact but also like some of the challenges we encountered when we implemented the practice, and how do we think we can improvise in the long run. And we need to talk about our teaching philosophy. All of this needs to be packaged in the form of our application. And of course, just 2 or 3 drafts is not enough. It really took me so many drafts to get to that shape. And so we need to give ourselves the time. And the other thing that I thought would be very useful is focusing on a teaching philosophy. So for me personally, like apart from my own research, I also like to articulate my own practices. And my practice is I could connect my practice with a lot of bell hooks works. So, but when I was also articulating my practice for this application, I was able to add another literature here. So this really helped. So having a teaching philosophy that is connected with a established theory, and also that aligns well with the RMIT values, and also it better consolidates all the practices that we list out in the application, will make our application more well-rounded. So that is something that I would suggest this because I felt like eventually my only after my second or third draft, I realized that my teaching philosophy was not coming out well clearly. I'm not signposting my teaching philosophy throughout my application. So that is very important that I would like to tell all of you to consider. So yes, over to you, Will. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Avia. Sometimes I think people like Avia started from the teaching philosophy, from the teaching learning, those strategies first, right? And some of us might start from your practice, identify your practice and think about which teaching philosophy you might be adhering to. I think either approach is fine. And I really like that you're talking about 4 years, the multiple drafts. We are going to recommend, it's quite likely that you're going to have at least 4 drafts. So plan early. That's the key. Yeah. Okay. Nam, I'm aware there's only 1 minute left, but if you guys need to go to classes, I'm sure that some of you need to go teaching, but feel free to go. This session is recorded, so you can always catch up with the recording. Yeah.
Okay, I have several tips that I think is applied for me, and it may helpful for someone. So first of all, we need to be patient. So in my case, I even submitted the ITA 2 years ago, and then I found that I didn't have enough evidence, and so I withdraw that, and I will wait for 1 year more to apply. So I think it could apply for every one of us. If you find that okay, we need more time to collect the evidence, or maybe just take time to wait for some student to graduate, so you can see the effects from your project. Then just wait, because it's the longer we wait, we keep going with that. It's just getting better. And second is writing application is like writing the story. So you need to please the readers. You need to tell a very good story, and more important, that is sometimes we are the one who did the project, so we really know about that. So we kind of jump from the beginning to the result, and we miss many progress that we have done, and that's the feedback that I got from my advisor. That okay, you need to explain everything step by step, what have you done, so that people can understand the efforts, and they can learn from your practice. Okay, and also the next tip is that you need to have planning for the evidence, because some evidence is easy to gather. It's there, but some evidence require you to prepare some kind of survey. Some evidence take time for you to send the email and ask from the feedbacks. So just make it in the plan at least 3 months to collect all of them. And as own the story, you need to have some kind of twist, some kind of highly impact. So you need to impress the readers, the judge at some point. So make your application stand out. So for example, in my case, even have many initiatives. But I think the selling point is when we was the first university who work with the industry and created that kind of simulated software for logistics students. And after that, I know that the company, they duplicate that model to another 10 universities. So it's something that it's emphasis with the spin-over effects, and it will make the selling point of your novel. Okay, and lastly, you need to leverage all the support. We have the mentor, we have advisors here to help, and they are very helpful. They read your application and they give you the very good feedback. So my application was changed a lot from the first draft to the last one, thanks to the support of others. Okay, so yeah, thank you very much. Back to you, Wei.
Thank you, Lam. I'm glad that Lam also mentioned the support. So there will be a lot of support from your mentor. So once the ITA closes in August, we already have a number of applicant winners from last year. So they volunteer to be mentors. By then you will get emails about mentor information, and you can find your mentor from that list, or you can find your own mentor for this application. Okay, I'm aware of the time. It's 3:03 now, and let's try to finish at 3:10. And if you have meetings to go, and if you have classes to go, feel free to go. And Nam and Avida, are you all right to stay a little bit for some questions?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, any questions from our audience? Sounds like your sharing is very clear. Thank you. Thank you, Wan. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Luan, and thank you, Amy. I'm sure you could approach them individually after session. I hope so. If you have any questions about that, and you also have your mentor, and you can also ask me and Fook or Karen about your application if you have any questions. Thank you very much, Dr. Vida and Dr. Lam. Appreciate your support. Okay, so just a few points to wrap up. If you haven't started, there's an application planner that help you to start. Here is the application planner. I'm going to share in the link. So there are some questions. Some questions there that can help you to get your application started. So that's about application planner, and also find a mentor. That what I mentioned, there are a number of previous award recipients have offered to be mentors. And then the process of finding a mentor will be shared once the ITA closes. And we also have this series of support services. We have workshops. We have resources on Learning and Teaching Hub. We also have the support program, so which include peer observation. You could get the Learning and Teaching team, or you can get your colleagues from your peer observation to observe your classes and provide you some feedback. You can also get a consultation and draft review from the Learning and Teaching team, and also from your mentors. So normally there will be 4 drafts. So every draft you might get some feedback from your mentor, from the Learning and Teaching team. Okay, so start planning early. And I think Fook has already shared this. Sorry. She has already shared this Learning and Teaching Hub. So we have lots of resources here. So if you go to, okay, this is, oh no.
I can share the link.
Yeah, if you can share the link, that'd be great.
Sure,
Thank you.
No worries.
Yeah. So there are resources here, like application resources, evaluating changes, and where you can find some references you can share, you can use, and you can also say what sort of evidence you can provide for your application. Okay, the Teaching and Learning Award Planner, application planner is also there. So have a look at this resource page where you can find also past samples from before. Okay, so there are lots of different resources here for you. Okay. And again, if you don't know how to get started, if you're stuck with some questions, you're always welcome to contact us, which is Teaching and Learning Unit at rmit.edu.vn. Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for staying until nearly the end. Appreciate that. And I will stay a bit for any questions you may have. Thank you again.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for joining, and thank you very much, Lam and Aveda.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let me stop recording.
Okay.